It is very seldom that mere ordinary people like John and myself secure ancestral halls for summer. A colonial mansion, a hereditary estate. I would say a haunted house, but that would be asking too much of fate. Still, there is something queer about it. John laughs at me, of course, but one expects that in a marriage. John is a physician, and if a physician in high standing and one's own husband assures friends and relatives that there is really nothing the matter but temporary nervous depression, a slight hysterical tendency, what is one to do? I don't like our room one bit. I wanted the one downstairs that opened on the piazza, but John would not hear of it. He said there was only one window and not room for 2 beds. It is a big, airy room, the whole floor nearly, with windows that look all ways and air and sunshine galore. It was a nursery first, and then a playroom and gymnasium, I should judge. For the windows are barred for little children, and there are rings and things in the walls. The paper is stripped off in great patches all around the head of my bed, about as far as I can reach. I never saw worse paper in my life. One of those sprawling, flamboyant patterns, committing every artistic sin. It is dull enough to confuse the eye in following, pronounced enough to constantly irritate and provoke study. And when you follow the lame, uncertain curves for a little distance, they suddenly commit suicide, plunge off at outrageous angles, destroy themselves in unheard of contradictions. The color is repellent, almost revolting. A smoldering, unclean yellow, strangely faded by the slow-turning sunlight. It is a dull yet lurid orange in some places, a sickly sulfur tint in others. No wonder the children hated it. I should hate it myself if I had to live in this room long. There comes John. He hates to have me write a word. We have been here 2 weeks, and I haven't felt like writing since that first day. John does not know how much I suffer. He knows there is no reason, and that satisfies him. It is fortunate Mary is so good with the baby, Such a dear baby. And yet, I cannot be with him. It makes me so nervous. I suppose John never was nervous in his life. He laughs at me so about this wallpaper. That horrid paper. There's a recurrent spot where the pattern lolls like a broken neck, and two bulbous eyes stare at you upside down. I get positively angry with the impertinence of it, and the everlastingness. Up and down and sideways they crawl, and those absurd unblinking eyes are everywhere. There's one place where two breaths don't match. The eyes go all up and down the line, one higher than the other. The floor is scratched, gouged, splintered. The plaster dug out, and this great heavy bed looks as if it had been through the wars. But I don't mind it a bit. Only the paper. There comes John's sister. Such a dear girl as she is, and so careful of me. I must not let her find me writing.
I am alone a good deal now. John is in town, and Jenny sees to everything. I'm getting fond of the room in spite of the wallpaper. Perhaps because of the wallpaper. I lie here on this great immovable bed, nailed down, I believe, and follow that pattern by the hour.
I start at the bottom, down in the corner where it has not been touched, and determine for the 1000th time that I will follow that pointless pattern to some sort of conclusion. This thing was not arranged on any laws of radiation or alternation or repetition or symmetry or anything else. Looked at one way, each breadth stands alone. The bloated curves and flourishes, a kind of debased Romanesque, with delirium tremens, go waddling up and down in isolated columns of fatuity. But, on the other hand, they connect diagonally, and the sprawling outlines run off in great slanting waves of optic horror, like a lot of wallowing seaweeds in full chase.
It makes me tired to follow it. I don't know why I should write this. I don't want to. I don't feel able, and I know John would think it absurd. I never mention it to them anymore. I am too wise. But I keep watch all the same.
There are things in that paper that nobody knows but me. Or ever will. Behind that outside pattern, the dim shapes get clearer every day. It is always the same shape, only very numerous. And it is like a woman, stooping down and creeping about behind that pattern. I don't like it a bit. You think you have mastered it, but just as you get well underway in following, it turns a back somersault and there you are. It slaps you in the face, knocks you down, and tramples upon you. It is like a bad dream. The outside pattern is a florid arabesque, a fungus, a toadstool in joints, an interminable string of toadstools, budding and sprouting in endless convolutions. That is, sometimes. By moonlight it becomes bars. The outside pattern, I mean. And the woman behind it, as plain as can be. I didn't realize for a long time what the thing was that showed behind. That dim sub-pattern. But now I am quite sure. It is a woman. By daylight, she is subdued, quiet. I fancy it is the pattern that keeps her so still. Life is very much more exciting now than it used to be. You see, I have something more to expect, to look forward to watch. I really do eat better and am more quiet than I was. John is so pleased to see me improve. He laughed a little the other day and said I seemed to be flourishing. In spite of my wallpaper, I turned it off with a laugh. I had no intention of telling him it was because of the wallpaper. He would make fun of me. He might even want to take me away. There is 1 week more, and I think that will be enough. I really have discovered something at last. Through watching so much at night, when it changes so, I have finally found out. The front pattern does move, and no wonder. The woman behind shakes it. Sometimes I think there are a great many women behind. And sometimes only one. And she crawls around fast. And her crawling shakes it all over. Then, in the very bright spots, she keeps still. And in the very shady spots, she takes hold of the bars and shakes them hard. And she is all the time trying to climb through. But nobody could climb through that pattern. It strangles so. I think that is why it has so many heads. They get through, and then the pattern strangles them off and turns them upside down and makes their eyes white. If those heads were covered or taken off, it would not be half so bad. I think that woman gets out in the daytime, and I'll tell you why. Privately, I've seen her. It's the same woman, I know, for she is always creeping, and most women do not creep by daylight. I see her on that long road, under the trees. And when a carriage comes, she hides under the blackberry vines. I don't blame her a bit. It must be very humiliating to be caught creeping by daylight. I always lock the door when I creep by daylight. I can't do it at night, for I know John would suspect something at once. There are only 2 more days to get this paper off, and I believe John is beginning to notice. I don't like the look in his eyes. The servants are gone, and there is nothing left but that great bedstead, nailed down. We shall sleep downstairs tonight and take the boat home tomorrow. I quite enjoy the room now that it is bare again. But I must get to work. If that woman does get out and tries to get away, I can tie her. I'm getting angry enough to do something desperate. To jump out the window would be an admirable exercise. But the bars are too strong to even try. Besides, I wouldn't do it. Of course not. I know well enough a step like that is improper and might be misconstrued. I don't like to look out of the windows even. There are so many of those creeping women, and they creep so fast. I wonder if they all come out of the wallpaper, as I did. I suppose I shall have to get back behind the pattern when it comes night, and that is hard. It is so pleasant to be out in this great room and creep around as I please. I don't want to go outside. Outside you have to creep on the ground, and everything is green instead of yellow. Why, there's John at the door. John, dear. It's no use, young man. You can't open it. It would be a shame to break down that beautiful door. I've got out at last, in spite of you and Jenny. And I've pulled off the paper. You can't put me back. You can't put me back. You can't put me back.